Welcome to Optimize This House, where I'm going to take you on my journey of cool DIY projects where some are necessary, but really most are not. Okay, so this is my son's room, and as you can see, he's got these nice shutters all the way along this wall. You'll also notice we have a curtain rod up here at the top where, until pretty recently, we were hanging blackout curtains to be able to control the light during his daytime naps. But now he's a little bit older, so we took those blackout curtains down, and the room looks way, way better. But the problem we have now is that when the shutters are closed, there's quite a bit of light that is leaking in from the bottom here. It's a little bit difficult to capture on camera, but there's about an inch or so between the doors and the floor, letting all that light in and brightening up the whole room. And this is causing my son to wake up about an hour earlier than normal. So I would like to get this fixed so we can get back to 7 a.m. mornings instead of 6 a.m. mornings. The first thing I'm going to do is measure the gap. And what I'm finding here is that it's about 1.25 inches all the way across. It's not perfectly level, but it's pretty close. My plan will be to use these plastic brush door sweeps from a company called Frost King. Now you can buy these at Home Depot. My local Home Depot was out of them, at least in this particular size, so I bought them from Amazon. And these are 1 3/4 inches by 3 feet. And they claim to be able to seal a gap of up to 7/8 of an inch, which isn't quite big enough for what we're trying to do, but let's open it and measure it directly. So when we look at the back of our sweep, we see this little shoulder here. And when we measure from the top of the shoulder to the bottom of the brush, we find there's actually about 1.25 inches of coverage. So what we will do is take the sweep, cut it to length, tuck the shoulder up under the bottom edge of the door, screw it in place, and then we should actually get the light blockage that we're looking for. So first thing, you can actually take this sweep out. This will need to be trimmed to length as well. But it's much easier just to start by working with the track. And as you can see, this is actually, far too long. It's going to need to be trimmed to size. Now, what I want to do here is you can see where these screw holes are placed about 5 inches or so, it looks like, from this end and then from the other end. And I'd like to have the screw holes a little bit closer to the end, so just to give this plastic a little bit more support at the edges of the door. I don't want the sweep sort of dragging and pulling these away from the bending this plastic. It's pretty flexible. So what I'm going to do is, because I need to trim this anyways, I'm actually going to maybe cut this about 1 inch away from the screw hole, and this will be the leftmost side. And then I'm going to trim it to length. And this is pretty soft plastic, so I'll probably just put a screw through it on the other end, but we'll see that in a second. There we go. Really easy with a good pair of snippers. So that will be this end. You can see the screw holes now very close to the end there. But you don't want it so close that it's going to get between the door and the doorstop. That's why I picked about 1 inch away. Now I just need to get this other end trimmed. So what I'm going to do, make sure that's lined up, hold it all the way across. And I'm just going to, if you can see this, take my utility knife, and I'm just going to score the end of it here. Basically put a little mark right where I need to cut it. Measure twice and cut once, as they say. Yep, that looks good. Cut. So, this should now be cut to size. That's about perfect. Let's screw this thing in place. Okay, so attaching this was pretty straightforward, so we're just going to speed through most of this. The pack comes with a few little white screws that you can use, and because the plastic already has holes in it, I'm just using a screwdriver to push right into the wood. I can do that because this wood is really soft. If the wood were harder, then I would need to pre-drill a little hole that is slightly smaller in diameter than the shaft of the screw. Now, at the other end, we didn't have a pre-existing hole, so I decided in my infinite wisdom to just try to push through this with the screwdriver, which is fine, but you just need to be a little bit careful because otherwise this will happen. But after a few attempts, I managed to push all the way through the plastic as well and then get into the door. I probably should have used a drill for this last part, but it's okay. It worked. So the last step in assembling one of these door sweeps is to cut the sweep itself to length as well. So it's really just doing the same thing we did before with the plastic track. This time I'm going to measure the sweep against the track because that's what it's going to sit inside of, score the metal on the sweep, which is really just a tiny bit of aluminum, and then cut that at the right spot, and then it should just slide right into place. With my tools out of the way, I can now close this bifold door halfway so I can access one end of the track and put the sweep in place. So that's it, one sweep installed. And it looks pretty good. I also think it's nice that it's installed on the back side of the door so you don't see any of this track or the screws or any of the stuff from inside the room. And with the door closed, it looks like it's blocking a lot of the light. There's a little bit of light that's sneaking in the corner, and there will probably be some light that sneaks in between the sweeps, but this is way better than it was before. Another thing that's nice and that I didn't expect was that the door actually looks like it fits better because that big gap at the bottom is gone. So yeah, I think once they're all done, it's going to look really good from inside the room as well. 1 down, 5 to go. And we're finished. So I did the second door sweep on this bifold door. I did 2 door sweeps on the center swinging doors, and then I did 2 more on the bifold door all the way on the other side of the room. And they were all about as easy to do as the first one. And I'm really happy with the outcome. I mean, it looks great when it's installed. So now we just need to take a look at if it's helping, cut down on all that light that's coming into the room. And here's the end result. Much better than it was before. Way, way darker in the room. In fact, my son's nightlight turned on once I closed all the doors and turned the lights off. So that's a good sign. Again, it's difficult to capture on camera because I'm basically just standing in a dark room. But if we look at this before and after, you can see there's a pretty big difference. And I've tried to also film this, with the same camera settings and the same time of day. So the amount of light coming through the back or the amount of light outside is hopefully, pretty similar. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. Now we just need to see if it helps get us back on a normal sleep schedule, which would be really nice. Okay, let's do our project wrap up. This was a super easy project to do. I only used a screwdriver, a tape measure, a good pair of cutters, and a utility knife. And links for all my tools and supplies are in the description below. It took only about 2 hours probably from start to finish to do each one of these 6 individual doors. I needed 6 sweeps, which cost me about $100. And yeah, that was it. Super easy, didn't take too long. And it's actually been a couple of weeks since I actually did this project before I started, working on this video. So was it worth it? Absolutely, yes, it was. My son is sleeping easily another hour every morning because his room is just much darker. So that's great. We're back on a normal sleep schedule. Yeah, so for $100 and 2 hours of my time, absolutely, this was worth it. So that's it. Thanks for watching Optimize This House. Make sure to like and subscribe, etc., etc. And yeah, check out my other videos.